I just heard something really disturbing. A boy went to a barn party, a black boy went to a barn party with his white friends, and he was the only he was the only black boy in attendance. And these so called friends attempted to push him into a meat grinder. And the woman that was giving her opinion on that information was a black woman, and she was very upset because she feels like it is that black boy's parents' fault for not informing him, not making him aware that racism exists. And she talked about black people who move their children into affluent neighborhoods that are filled with white people that she called the enemy, and then not prepare the child for how people really feel about them, and you know what's real in this world. And it struck me because I just did the same thing, and I have been doing that since he was born. Bryce was 2 years old when I left Philadelphia to move him out of an urban situation, not necessarily into a white neighborhood, just into a better neighborhood. And we all know that better neighborhoods tend to be white. So anyway, it made me think, wow, am I preparing him for those kinds of encounters? The kids that are being raised to be racist, and the kids that are rewarded for doing mean things to black people. Their family members, their grandparents, their parents, their older siblings reward them whenever they do something that is socially inappropriate or racist. And so it's making me have to go home today and have a conversation with Bryce about some things. He goes to a school that is diverse. There are a lot of Indian kids, a lot of white kids. I don't know that I think that blacks are the minority, but whites are not the majority. And I say that I think I need to do a little more research, but there are quite a few Indians there, and definitely more Indian kids than black children. But anyhow, Bryce is a very naive child. He did not grow up in the city, and he doesn't know how to be mean to anyone. He doesn't understand that people just are. They just are. He doesn't understand that people have done awful things to other people just because. That peer pressure and family pressure and norms are so important to some people, and some people will be ostracized and even killed by their family members if they are found to be accepting or inclusive of other races. And so I did not press upon him that he needs to treat anybody any differently, and I also haven't impressed upon him that he will be treated differently just because. Now, we have talked about it, and we have done the Black History thing, and I've done it in depth, but just to celebrate my people, not to talk about racism and what we don't have, more to talk about what we do have and how almost everything was created in some way by a black person, or some piece of it, some portion of a lot of things, or we are the reason for it. And so we have had those conversations, but we haven't had the kind of conversation that probably this boy that was almost put into the meat grinder. I don't his parents have had that conversation, and I'm sure they feel awful about it. But we're going to talk tonight, Bryce and I, about what this means, what happened there, and how people cannot be trusted. And I'm not just talking about white people. I'm talking about people, period, because people are people. And sometimes they're put in situations and they feel that, if they don't move a certain way, they won't be accepted by the people that matter to them. Sometimes they're raised to be demonic. They are, they're just workers of the devil and all of that. And Bryce is a child of God. He prays. He knows the Lord. He knows the Holy Spirit. He has a relationship with God. He prays for himself and his family and all of that. And he has for many years. And with that in mind, the enemy is always going to attack, a threat. So we're going to talk later, Bryce and I. You're going to get to hear what he thinks about what happened to that young man and what he thinks about the idea of racism and the threat that it has on his life.